in those who come in close contact with it. The claims are surfacing as the ongoing NATO-led campaign is being stepped up with no clear end in sight. RT's Gani Chichikian investigates. Just a warning, some viewers may find the images in this report disturbing.
These Libyan men cheer on top of a tank hit by coalition forces, unaware of the silent killer they could be breathing in as they celebrate. Though the Western coalition denies using depleted uranium in bombings in the country, others say there's a good chance weapons with the highly poisonous radioactive element have been used.
That kind of damage, there's a really good chance that was a DU round. I'm about 80–90% sure that was a DU round. That's really stupid. Anybody who's on it is getting low-level radiation exposure. See the level of the wind blowing? Yeah. That means the particles are in the air. So all of these people in these cars are being exposed.
Melissa Sterry served in the U.S. military during the first Gulf War in the early 1990s, clearing up battlefields in Kuwait. Back then, the U.S. dropped more than 350 tons of depleted uranium over Kuwait and Iraq. Pictures of bombings from Libya seem all too familiar.
You see how there's touches of red? That's the burning. See how it shoots out instead of a cone straight up and you've got the flare at the bottom? That's a DU explosion.
Depleted uranium in military terms is highly efficient, relatively cheap and powerful enough to penetrate the heaviest armor. NATO flatly denies its use in Libya. Even though the UN Human Rights Commission has called for a ban, countries who've refused to sign up include the US, the UK, France, and Israel.
The smallest particles of uranium, nanoparticles, are the most dangerous. Once inhaled, they get into the blood and can spread into any organ, including the heart, brain, liver. Once the particles penetrate your cell tissue, this is when you get all kinds of genetic mutations. And people in Iraq, for example, breathe in that contaminated air every day. And experts say there's no way to fight it.
In Fallujah, in Iraq, where the U.S. dropped thousands of depleted uranium rounds after the 2003 invasion, a quarter of all babies are born with a range of horrendous abnormalities. Higher rates of cancer, leukemia, and infant mortality have been found here than after the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The U.S. and the British military admitted widespread use of depleted uranium in bombing Bosnia in 1995, a legacy felt today, with cancer and leukemia rates several times higher than normal.
We've got total medical confirmation all around Fallujah, Iraq, that the health effects of the uranium are there, and we see it throughout Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Somalia, the Balkans, and again, now we're seeing it moving into Libya.
Dr. Doug Rocky, who was a leading specialist in the cleanup after the Gulf War, says there is no way of actually decontaminating affected areas.
I was given a written memorandum to lie about the health and environmental effects of uranium munition.
He himself was exposed to depleted uranium. Almost all of the members of his team are now dead. Some fear that the suffering of those bombed in areas where there will be no Western troops will go unnoticed.
Now, if it happens in remote villages in Libya, I expect it won't be noticed, because who is going to go and find it out? And if the people there in the villages start saying, hey, look, everybody's dying here, they've all got cancer, and there's the congenital malformations and so forth, I don't think anyone will listen to them.
Depleted uranium has a half-life of 4.5 billion years. Hence, its description by some as the silent killer that will never stop killing. Ganesh Chakyan, RT, Washington, D.C.
Japan has raised the nuclear alert level at the